Welcome to the Daily AI News Digest Explainer. This is sponsored by bestai.org. It's Monday, May 4th, 2026, and we're bringing you a grounded, highly realistic look at the current state of artificial intelligence. We're well past the hype phase, folks. The global enterprise is shifting rapidly from just experimenting with AI to deep, autonomous integration. So let's just jump right in and look at the hard data driving today's landscape. Today's rundown covers four main areas. We're looking at the boardroom AI divide, the cyber capability arms race, the trillion-dollar market divergence, and finally, emerging AI regulations.
Section 1. The boardroom AI divide. CEOs and boards clash over AI adoption velocity.
Okay, so a radical and honestly sometimes chaotic redesign is happening right now at the highest levels of global corporate leadership. The boardroom conversation has officially shifted from just curiosity to a highly pressurized search for ROI. According to a brand new joint survey by IBM and the Boston Consulting Group, 76% of global organizations actually have a Chief AI Officer, or CAIO, in place right now. That is a massive 50-point jump in just 12 months. It clearly points to a fundamental realization in the market. AI isn't just some localized IT tool anymore. It's an entirely new operating model that's basically rewiring the nervous system of the modern enterprise.
But here's where things get really interesting. That BCG survey reveals a growing, glaring disconnect right at the top. While boards are pushing super aggressively for faster implementation, CEOs are actively trying to pump the brakes and take a more measured approach. Just look at the confidence gap. 75% of board members actually believe their AI knowledge is on par with or ahead of their peers, but CEOs? They are highly skeptical of that self-assessment. And that's creating immense friction over exactly how fast companies should be moving.
To put a number on that tension, 61% of CEOs say their boards are outright rushing their AI transformation. Industry experts are pointing out that this dynamic is largely driven by a massive boardroom fear of missing out, basically AI FOMO. And if you're a stakeholder, that's a huge operational risk, right? Because it means organizational urgency is being driven more by uncertainty and peer pressure than by a sound, thoroughly evaluated tech strategy.
Let's break down the structural metrics behind this tension, because it really outlines the harsh reality corporate leaders are facing. 35% of CEOs say their boards drastically overestimate the human capabilities that AI can realistically replace today. On top of that, 40% say their boards lack an informed view of how AI actually reshapes growth strategy. But here's the absolute kicker. 35% of a CEO's performance evaluation is now formally tied to achieving AI return on investment. Talk about pressure, right? The margin for error is literally razor thin. If boards force implementation without genuine literacy, they risk massive operational failures that are going to hit the bottom line hard.
Moving on to Section 2. The cyber capability arms race, frontier AI enters the security-first era.
So what's driving some of this corporate anxiety? Well, it's the gritty technological reality that the AI arms race has officially pivoted away from those general-purpose chatbots and into the realm of high-stakes, sovereign-grade cybersecurity. We are staring down a profound dual-use dilemma. Take Anthropic. They recently announced Claude Mythos, a model so incredibly capable at autonomous zero-day discovery that they actually decided not to release it to the public. During testing, Mythos successfully exploited a 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD. Keep in mind, this is a bug that survived millions of automated tests over the decades. On the flip side, OpenAI just launched GPT-5.4-Cyber, which is engineered specifically for verified defenders. It has a lowered refusal boundary, which means it will actually help verified researchers with exploit concepts and malware analysis, stuff that standard models would just outright refuse to discuss.
The real cornerstone of OpenAI's new cyber model is its proficiency in binary reverse engineering. Now, traditionally, if you wanted to analyze compiled executable software to identify vulnerabilities or malicious code without the original source code, you needed highly specialized teams grinding away with complex tools for weeks. But now, security teams can just offload that initial screening directly to the AI. This is an absolute game changer. It means human researchers can stop hunting for needles in the haystack and focus strictly on neutralizing the absolute most complex threat vectors.
Of course, these massive defensive advantages come with equal offensive risks. Because these frontier models are compressing the vulnerability exploitation window from weeks down to literally hours, CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is proposing a pretty draconian measure. They want to cut the deadline for government agencies to patch actively exploited flaws from 2 weeks down to just 3 days. Let that sink in. 3 days is the new standard required just to survive at what the industry is now calling AI speed.
All right, Section 3. Trillion-dollar market divergence, big tech capex realities.
The really crucial point for the markets right now is how this high-stakes technological arms race translates into cold, hard financial metrics. We are entering a period defined by historically massive infrastructure investments. NVIDIA is continuing its absolute dominance as the premier AI infrastructure provider, recently hitting a jaw-dropping $5.2 trillion market capitalization milestone. As the top supplier of the GPUs needed to train and run these advanced models, they are the ultimate picks and shovels company of the AI era. They aren't just a chip company anymore, they are the foundational bedrock of the next decade of digital infrastructure.
However, if you look at the tech giants actually buying all those chips, their capital expenditure, or CapEx, projections for 2026 are just staggering. We're talking $200 billion for Amazon, $190 billion for Microsoft, $180 billion for Alphabet. Numbers this massive are putting their stock valuations under intense scrutiny. Wall Street is demanding to see a clear, tangible path to profitability to justify building out these sprawling, power-hungry data centers.
And because of this unprecedented spending, we're seeing a very stark market divergence. Investors are actively rewarding companies like Alphabet, Amazon, and Apple. Why? Because the core differentiator is that they're combining that infrastructure spend with visible, immediate monetization. Alphabet, for instance, just reported a massive 63% jump in Google Cloud sales. But on the other side of the coin, you have firms like Microsoft and Meta facing stock pressure. For them, the spending remains opaque without enough corresponding third-party cloud revenue to back it up. Wall Street's patience is definitely wearing thin here. They are actively punishing firms that seem to treat AI like an endless research project instead of a verifiable revenue engine. Financial analysts are definitely weighing in heavily on this split. Over on CNBC, Jim Cramer recently said he's growing tired of the endless bubble talk about all the data center spending. He noted that this massive capital investment is fundamentally validated when companies actually report massive jumps in cloud sales. So the main takeaway for the broader market is crystal clear. Just spending hundreds of billions of dollars is no longer enough to impress anyone. The market demands a clear demonstration of productivity gains and tangible, real-world revenue generation.
Finally, Section 4. Emerging AI regulations, the legislative horizon. Let's take a look at how lawmakers are trying to govern this exploding trillion-dollar landscape, because the policy environment is getting incredibly complex. Jurisdictions are really clashing over how to balance innovation with public safety. Looking at the timeline, on January 1st, California's AI Transparency Act kicked in, requiring training data disclosures. But then, on April 6th, the federal administration implemented Executive Order 14365 that took an explicitly innovation-first approach and actually repealed previous safety-heavy regulations. But the states aren't backing down. Looking ahead to June 30th, the Colorado AI Act is going to impose strict risk management obligations on employers who use AI for consequential decisions. So enterprise legal teams are left trying to navigate this increasingly fractured and, frankly, contradictory regulatory environment.
So, as the C-suite scrambles to adapt their operating models, as AI uncovers decades-old software vulnerabilities in mere seconds, and as regulators race to draft these enforcement frameworks, it leaves us with one incredibly sobering final thought. As we plunge deeper into this agentic era, where up to 53% of the workforce is going to require upskilling, is the sheer velocity of AI advancement fundamentally outpacing our human capacity to secure, manage, and govern it? Thank you so much for joining us for today's Explainer. The financial and operational stakes of this AI transformation have reached a point where the margin for error is effectively zero. For a deeper, no-nonsense look at the realities of artificial intelligence, be sure to visit our sponsor at bestai.org. Stay informed, stay secure, and we will see you next time.